The East End then was where you grew up.
Yeah, basically, yeah, when I was a kid. My dad was a Maltese immigrant. He actually come to the country. Dad was an English sailor. So he met me mum, and then obviously I was born in 1957. So at the time, obviously, him being Maltese, it was Maltese and the craze and things like that. So I sort of grew up in that era, really, in the craze era.
Yeah.
Yeah, which gave us the old school beliefs as we grew up.
So what are the old school beliefs?
Help the granny across the road, don't grass on your fellow competitors, help the community basically, and don't rob from the poor. Obviously, we was robbing from the banks, like and socials, like security vans, things like that. So we wasn't ever taking it out on the public. We was taking it against the government basically. That's what we was doing when I grew up, and that's how we was taught. We wouldn't break into a person's house, a working class person's house. So that's what the old school was really, and which, sorry to say, is on its way out now.
Yeah. So you didn't have much growing up, and you saw in other neighbourhoods things people had.
Yeah, basically what happens when you're poor, this is the problem what we got today. You got like super rich and you got the super poor. So when I was poor, like I'm not going to sit here, my brother's a millionaire now, so we ain't short of a few quid, but like we've been through the poverty line and it ain't nice. I mean, you walk past and you see a bit of ham in a shop and you think, I wish I had that instead of a tin, like having tin of baked beans and pie, like mash was like, and spam at my time when I was a kid. Now you say that to a kid now, he'll turn his nose up and you think, well, bloody hell, But things have changed, You've got better, you're better now than what we did in the 50s, It's like kids got more now than what we had, put it that way.
So a lot of people from that neighbourhood didn't turn to crime. You just gave the example of your brother running this successful business.
Yeah.
What was different then for you that you think that made you go down that path?
Well, when you're a kid and you go to school, and then it all starts off like school uniforms, and that sounds stupid. And we couldn't really afford school uniforms, so I'd go and nick them from the shop, and that sounds stupid. So you grew up in all the kids, you notice what kids had and you didn't have, which is what we got today. And that's the problem, you live in a block of flats and you've got nothing, and you go to a big house and you see someone who's got everything. I mean, that kid who's got nothing, he wants it. And that's where we've got a problem with society until it evens out a bit, So, and that's what happened when I was a kid. And because me personally, at the time, as you said, I was doing like martial arts, and I turned it into, which I shouldn't have done, was armed robberies and things like that,
So what made you start martial arts? A lot of people do it because they get bullied or things like that. What motivated you?
I was going to start boxing, and then what happened, Bruce Lee came out. I know it sounds stupid. When I was about 13. And he was watching, and I joined a karate club, then went into kickboxing and things like judo and learned how to look after yourself, basically, which turned out good for me later on in my life, basically, But getting back to being poor is most worst thing in the world. I mean, you wake up in the morning, and like even in society now, you watch about now the virus is over. You watch how many people are going to be evicted, And when you're living in that type of environment, you can see where poverty causes crime. Do you know what I mean, Shaun?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a major factor is like the discrepancy in society between the rich and the poor, and the war on drugs and the rest of it, and all the profits that the prisons are making from locking people up. But we're going to get to that. So, just going back to the martial arts again, then. Martial arts, some people, they've got this aggression about them, and martial arts kind of tempers that and makes them channel it in a more positive way. Did you find that with yourself? Did you have a kind of aggression in you? Did you have an anger at anything when you were younger?
I think what it is, it takes the bully out of you, without a doubt, because I had an instructor who was very, very strict, and he slagged me off for having tattoos, and and he was like a bit of a father figure, really, because he'd go, don't do that, and he'd teach you, and then he'll give you that sort of, and where he taught you to look after yourself. You respected him because he was like 7th Dan at the time. He was like European champion. I won't mention his name. His first name was Peter, but he was a bit tasty. So you had that sort of look up to him when I was a kid, you know. So getting back to poverty, the reason why I did take it up really is just better myself in looking after myself, basically. Because obviously, you know, on the streets, being an East End boy, it weren't like, you know, if you didn't fight, you was in trouble, you know. So that was the problem you had.
So did the streets teach you how to fight then before karate? Were you already rough and tumble?
Not really, not nothing to when you go into martial arts, how they teach you to punch properly. The only problem is when you do punch properly, you've got more chance to get a prison sentence, because when you hit someone, you're going to break a bone or a chin, or, you know. So really, basically, kids out there today, if they want to do some anger, go to the gyms, take it out in the gyms, the boxing, the karate. It's a good way of unleashing your anger, basically.
That's why I tell them, you got to channel your energy into positive things: boxing, karate, martial arts.
Yeah, or your brains. You know, your brain's going on computers. You know, challenges into something.
Yeah.
But getting back to poverty, I think when I grew up, I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like not having no money. It was horrible. You know, like that horrible look down on you. That sort of how can you explain it? You felt that people looked down on you. One, because we lived behind a junk shop.
Yeah.
One, my dad was Maltese, who looked Asian looking, like a Paki type, looked like skin type Paki. So my dad.
So were you experiencing racism because of that then?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because my mum was ginger, so I didn't have much going for me. My mum was ginger, my dad was Maltese, you know. So so at that time, there weren't many foreigners in the country. So it was really you growing up in that environment and like not having no money and all. It was like sort of you without you knowing it, and you look back in psychology, where I was in prison, I went through the psychology courses and that's what gives you the chip on your shoulder without you even knowing it. Do you know what I mean, Shaun?
Yeah.
You know, even to this day, like if someone has a go at you, you still think, you know, you still like, you know, in your mind you say don't do that, but you're still in your mind, even at 63, you think, fuck, you know, I'm having that. You know, it's just that's ingrained at you since you was a kid, basically.
Yeah. That
lay down and die spirit. I wish you got it, but you haven't got it. I was in Tesco's the other days, and this geezer kept walking, you know, the 2 metre rule. And the geezer kept, I'm waiting for him to go. And every time I went up, he'd come back, and he'd done it 3 times. On the 3rd time, and I thought, you do that the 4th time, I'm going to knock you out, you know. But that's what I'm saying. And I'm thinking, I'm 63 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just, though you want to lose that sort of, that bit in you, but you can't really. Because that, from a child, you know, you just can't help it. That's what happens with kids. They're sort of moulded at an early age. You can't turn like a posh kid into a criminal, can you?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what happens, because they come up through the ranks, and that's how they get into what they are, all criminality.
Yeah.
And this why, please God, through the interview, I want to explain if we can try and stop people from going into crime.
Absolutely.
Picking up the knives.
Yeah.
You know, if we can just get something out of it and turn their lives around, if we can help in that way, it'd be fantastic, this interview. You know?
Yeah, we're going to have a really strong message about that, definitely. So you were experiencing discrimination of sorts then as a young person. You've not got much money. You're channeling your energy into martial arts. Now, when you're first doing the karate and you're getting fights, you're doing the sparring, how is that making you feel?
Confident.
Right away, you were confident.
Yeah, quite confident. Yeah, because you hit hard and you're capable of taking people down. You know, so, and which went on to when you got into armed robberies and things like that, coming without hurting people. You could put people down without hurting them. Basically, you could wrap someone up quite easy. You know, so. And that's what you was taught. Not so much now, because I've had an hip replacement because of karate and judo and all that, because of sports. So, it was I wouldn't turn me back on the sport. I think it's a good thing to put your kids into, especially for respect, and take the bully out of them, basically.
Yeah. How long were you doing karate for?
I done karate for 4.5 years. Then we went into underground kickboxing, which there weren't many weight categories. So I'd done that for a couple of years. That's how I lost the top of me and got my teeth broken and broke my toes, because you was fighting bigger people at the time. I was only like a middleweight, and you're fighting a heavyweight, and you get punched on the nose. You obviously know about it, and then you got cracks across my teeth. So it's taking you into a real fight kickboxing, really, basically. And then it's a shame, really, at the time there was no UCF, which if I was a kid at 16, 14, 15, 16, I'd love to have done UCF, because I think that's the ultimate sport, basically. You know, I think that is, if you're going to be a fighter, that's the one, UCF.
So did you have any fears during the martial arts?
Yeah, you don't want to lose, do you? That's the only fear you got. You don't want to lose, you know. It's really horrible because you have a bad habit, and I've got a good friend of mine sitting out there at the moment, and you wrap up, and people got nerves, or they can't sleep. Mine was going and want to have a pee just before the fight, so you're all wrapped up and saying, "I've got to have a pee." You think, what? You got your gloves on and all that, and you can't have a pee. But yeah, it was. I'm glad I've done it. You know, it's saved my life in the prison systems. Saved my life when I had people jumping on my head. You know, to tuck in, take the chin. You know, so really, basically, I've had. If I didn't do martial arts, I think I could have been dead. You know, and especially in some of the prison situations I was in.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we're talking about George Floyd, how he'd been locked up for 9 minutes. I mean, the way prison systems, they actually show you how the prison staff grab someone around the neck in an headlock and take them down the block.
Yeah.
You know, that's all got to stop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm pleased God it does stop. You know, thank God it's all getting noticed now.
I kill you! Yeah! Knife and the cosh and all that, like, yeah! And he's looking at me, and we went white, and there he was gone, like.
What is it about a tough guy that fascinates us?
Imagine I'm hearing that, I'm thinking I'm not going down today. If I go down today, I'm dead.
We're bringing you the very best of our interviews with Britain's hardest men.
They made the mistake of bringing billy clubs, iron bars and knives to a gunfight.
No Rules Fighter Bash, Stephen the Devil French, and my best friend, Wild Man. Over 2 hours of terrifying tales of punch-ups, stabbings.
That's what happens in that world. You leave people long enough, they get enough rope to hang themselves.
Attempted murders and exceptional all-round hardness. This film is available to rent or own on Amazon or Vimeo. Plus, the first 30 customers to order this film get a 30% discount on any Vimeo order. Click the link below to see if you're one of the lucky ones. This film will drop your jaw like a punch from the hard men we talk to. So why not order your copy today?